going live. We don't care. We raw.
We're live. We're live.
We're raw. We're raw.
Oh. All right. What is up, everybody? How y'all doing in the chat? Thanks for being here. We have a lot to get into tonight. Jay, Fluent said he's not doing too well, so we gotta get a pep in his step. But Jay,
Tony Tone,
okay?
what's up? Tony Tone, what's up?
Dying. I'm dying.
Emotional, damn it!
Deep breath.
What's going on with Tony Tone? My man Tony Tone, he's under the weather. You're not feeling good. Is it?
I'm not feeling good. I'm under the weather. I got a pounding headache. I just took my kids and my dog to get pictures with Santa. Just imagine what it's like in a mall with a bunch of dogs barking and kids with Santa. So that did not help the illness and the headache. Let me just put that.
Can you handle the kids, Tone? Is it the dogs barking that's pushing you over the top?
It's not my dog or my kids.
Everything else.
I'll tell you straight up, my kids are amazing. My dog is surprisingly well behaved.
Yeah,
it's those dogs with that high pitched,
small dog
in a mall, right? That echoes. So it's like, oh yeah, that was not good.
Shut it up.
Yeah, get some caffeine in you, and hopefully we'll get that migraine to go away, that headache.
Fair
Jay, you doing good though?
Running good tonight, yo. Running good tonight. I am under attack.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm under attack, and here's the thing, Tone. When you say stuff, right? When you say stuff, people have a difference of opinion, and people don't appreciate that I don't have Kobe in my top 10. They don't think that winning matters in league MVP votes, stuff like that. So I'm constantly under attack, and I'm called a liar, and like I said, but most of the people that I talk to, right? Most of the people that I talk to have Kobe Bryant between 8 and 12. Those are the people that I talk to, right? With the exception of this dude right here.
You're saying most of the people.
Yeah, with the exception of this dude over here. He's not one of those people.
He's an exception.
Right, yeah, he's not. Now, with the league MVP stuff, I get a whole bunch of people telling me all kinds of different stuff where I don't know what I'm talking about. Russell Westbrook changed that. Not only did Russell Westbrook change it, but Joker changed it. Even though twice in the last 6 years, you got two guys in 6 years that won league MVP as a 6 seed. And I don't understand how they changed it, but apparently they changed it. So yeah, I don't get it. But I'm under attack. I'm under attack. I say a lot of the stuff that I say what a lot of people are afraid to say, but I'm gonna say it anyway.
Yeah, as you should. And the thing is, okay, question, because you're both, on social media and creators and a million other things, but do you feel like in general things are like heating up? Like people are getting crazier. I swear, like the things people like what you're saying, Jay, like liar and all these things, like I get that stuff too. But it's crazy. I feel like social media, and what's crazy is they'll never say it to your face. Like if they get onto your live and they debate you, they're never gonna say those same things. But yeah, I feel you. And
whenever I get these people, like I'll get them on a live, and the first thing I'll get is, so no, ain't no, what happened to all of that rah-rah in the comment section? What happened to all of that? Now you in front of me, and I just wanted to. I'm saying, ain't none of that I'm saying, which suggests to me that if I saw you in real life, it would probably be something like that. So I try not to take it nearly as personal, but
it's still, there's still days against you, but
I know what it is. I know what it is. I ain't tripping.
All right. Well, I know we have a lot of stuff has happened over the last few days.
My boy got a haircut. Look at him. Look at my boy. Clean it in the kitchen sink. Check him out.
We gotta let him hear you guys. So I'm gonna turn this over. Put your ear here. So you can hear
my man got a haircut. Check him out. Clean it in the kitchen sink. Check him out. He looking good.
Want to show him what you got? Show him what you got. You got to zoom right there and go close. So you could probably see it's the number 6 with a couple lines.
Yeah.
Can you tell them why you got the number 6? Talking to the mic.
Bill Russell.
Okay, from Bill Russell.
And what did you want? What did you want to get, but the school wouldn't let you? Into the mic.
R.I.P.
You wanted to get RIP 6.
Yeah.
School would let him do it.
Yeah, gotta follow the guidelines.
Yeah. And that had nothing. I know you all say it has to do with me. It had nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, he does his own. We argue because I don't agree with his takes.
Next he's gotta be. He'll be on the show here in a few years. Take your.
We got a future basketball historian. I'm feeling
it.
We're working on. So, Justin from the Fantasy Gods has his son and my son, and we're trying to figure out where we can do. We're going to do a basketball show with those two kids. It might be called just Players Choice Kids because Shaq's in. Shaq's like, all right, let's figure it out. We can't put it on this channel, right? Because there's a lot of adult content.
Mm-hmm. Right.
In fact, we got in trouble for PC Gridiron last night because there was a little too much vulgarity on the shows last night.
Was Dub there?
So no, Dub was not there.
Interestingly,
I was gonna say.
But so we might just start a secondary kind of Players Choice, maybe kids rated channel and start with their basketball show. So
that'd be cute.
Yeah, so you know what it is? It's I have NBA classics, so he goes back and watches all these games. But also, he's like most kids, he's obsessed with 2K. And so what he does is he uses like when he's just not his career where he builds his own player, like in just when he goes and does a quick play, he uses all-time teams. And so he's used every single all-time team multiple times. And so he'll see he's like, who's this guy Malone? Like getting rebounds, blocking shots, like dunking. Who is this? And they're like, oh, and he's like, is that Karl Malone? And then he looks him up. Oh, Moses Malone. Oh, he's really good, Daddy. So then he'll go to NBA Classics and look up Moses Malone. So that's how he kind of does it himself. Yeah. So so shout out to NBA 2K for putting it out there. Yeah. And yeah, he's doing it. He probably, he's been doing it for a year.
Yeah.
He's probably got more knowledge on historical basketball and current basketball than half the people who are on shows talking basketball.
Which is dope too, Tone, because by the time he's 25, he won't be the traditional 25-year-old, right? That hates old heads and we don't know what we're talking about. He'll actually be able to have a conversation, right? Yeah. As opposed to these other people. I'm good.
Here's the thing I like about it is listen, he's 8, so keep that in mind when we say we have a debate. But he put Jerry West at 10 all time, and I said, you're crazy. Why would you do that? And he said, well, here's why. And he gave his list. Now I don't agree, but the fact that you are at that point where you can say, here is the reasons why I made that decision.
Yeah. Right.
Hey, just like I do with you. You crazy that you have Kobe at 11 in my eyes, but then you say, here's why. All right, I got to respect you. Have a reason for it. It's not just crazy. So,
that's cute. Bobby E said Fluent's little man got more respect for the OGs than Dub. I'm sorry. Love you, Dub. Okay.
He's about the same height, even.
This is just
I love it. No, he plays. He's in grade 3. He's in grade 3, and he plays U10. He's on the rep team U10 with and they're all grade 5s. And he's the same height. Good. So I got my fingers crossed.
We got the genes.
Yeah. We're hoping.
Well, Fluent.
Last thing, and we'll get to the show. Not that you all hear all about my personal life, but both my parents are like 5'5", and I'm 6'3". Right. So if he's anywhere near the gap between me and my parents that we're looking at 6'7", 6'8". So I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
Dope.
Yeah. Okay, Fluent. We have to touch on this. We got to touch on some NFL because a lot happened. But Fluent, your Bears are eliminated, and I know it comes as really no surprise whatsoever. But how you feeling? And more so, moving into next season, you still got Justin Fields. You still had a better season than we've seen in a minute. So how do you feel about that? And do you have a little bit more hope for next season?
So I'll say this. I'm not surprised that they're eliminated early because I told you guys I didn't think they were going to win a lot of games. So that's not a surprise. I was pleasantly surprised with them opening up the offense and allowing Justin Fields to run the ball. And we saw how dynamic, because it opened up the passing game too. Like Cole Kmet was like verge of tight end bust. And all of a sudden he becomes a threat when Justin Fields is rolling out because they have a good chemistry. Here's an opportunity for the Bears to, and their defense, I cried when they traded everybody away, right? But here's the thing. When you look at where they were ranking with those guys and all that salary and where they're ranking with just these young guys and limited salary, well, it's the same. So they're getting the same results. So no, I don't have Roquan Smith, racking up 100 tackles and going to the Pro Bowl, but the defense as a whole is they're not good, but they're playing the same. So okay, then save the money. I get it from a business perspective.
Right.
So what I look forward to is, hey, if they have finally some draft pieces that hopefully, they're not going to trade away crazy picks to get a quarterback like they've done 2 out of the last 5 years. One for Mitch Trubisky and then for Fields. So now that you keep that draft capital, is this a team that can add a couple of defensive pieces, add a wide receiver, a la getting Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, right? And we saw what a difference that made. So can they add that one wide receiver? They've got 2 good running backs in Montgomery and Khalil Herbert.
Right.
Obviously, offensive line. That's all. Offensive line and defense. That's every team has to, shore those things up. But now, not only that, they're in a division where it looks like Aaron Rodgers is done. Like, I mean, in Green Bay, right? I don't think he's going to come back next year. But if he does, I'm not as worried as I have been in the past, based on how the Packers look this year. You're never really worried about Detroit, although they've looked better. You're never really worried about Kirk Cousins and the Vikings. Well, now there's an opportunity that this team has a chance now at that division. So, and the big name guys, well, Rams look like they're, not an issue anymore. Tom Brady there's no way Tom Brady's coming back again. And even so, they don't look good. It's okay. So it's the Eagles, who I think are going to be good again next year. Is Geno Smith going to have another year like this in Seattle? Probably not.
Yeah.
There's a lot of there's a lot of NFC hope. So it's probably it looks good.
Yeah.
Tone,
Oh no,
go ahead, H. I'm sorry.
Real quick, I was just gonna say, out of like that class or those young guys that came in, he's by far, I think, the best. He might not look like the best because of what his team was and kind of what he was thrown into. Right. But I think I like Justin Fields, and I felt bad for him because there's so many moments that it wasn't on him, and of course that's being part of a team, and that's just what comes with it. And sometimes that's the best lesson. But like what I see in him is exciting and it is hopeful, I think. Yeah.
So who was ahead of him? Okay, Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Do you have faith in the Jags? No. Trey Lance. Well, he's hurt. As 49ers fans, he's
maybe
iffy.
one day, but
Zach Wilson's already got benched.
Yeah, no.
Like the top 3 guys are I think Trevor Lawrence still has the biggest, the most upside of, but those other 2, Trey Lance and Zach Wilson.
And Jacksonville has improved. I will say that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I will say that. Now, anybody that knows me knows that I have a man crush on Roquan. So when the Bears traded him, I was like, what are you guys doing? Yeah. What is going on? And Tone, you and I had this conversation before the season started. You thought y'all were going to be garbage. You thought y'all were going to be straight garbage.
Yeah.
But the plus side to this is you have your quarterback. Now, because you have your quarterback, that gives you a lot of leverage offensively because now we can build around this guy. So there is no yanking him in and out of the lineup. There is no switching up the offense. No, we got our quarterback. Justin Fields has proven that he could stay healthy over these last 2 seasons. Now it's just a matter of now it's just a matter of getting the right pieces around him. Tone, I will tell you that I don't love Montgomery. I don't. And the reason why I don't love Montgomery is because he doesn't give me big plays. Like he'll give me he'll give me a chunk of yards. He'll give me 5 yards here.
Yeah, he's gonna be the bruiser. He's gonna be the goal line guy.
Yeah, that's what he gives me. He doesn't give me that guy who I'm convinced that at some point he's gonna bust one for 30 yards. He's gonna bust one for 45 yards, right? He doesn't give me that kind of vibe. So I think that you can probably go in the draft and get a running back in probably the 3rd round who's going to be solid or a scat back who's more versatile. Your defense, like you just said, is basically the same as it was when Roquan Smith was there. Yeah. So what does that mean? Does that mean that we draft better, or do we go spend this money and go get us another big time, or go get some big time free agents? Because Tone, last I checked, Chicago is not Jacksonville. Chicago is not Minnesota. People want to play for the Bears if you put them in the right situation. The Bears are not a super whack organization. The Bears are a big time organization if you put the right pieces around them.
Yeah, you're not gonna get an argument from me.
Yeah,
I thought they would be worse. Tone, you sold it. I thought they were gonna be garbage. I did.
You know why I thought they were gonna be worse? Because of what you saw them do in the first 4 or 5 weeks, where they tried to make Justin Fields a pocket passer, and I know that's not who he is.
No.
And if you look up and down the standings right now, every quarterback, almost there's gonna be an exception, but all the successful teams, all the teams that are leading their divisions have a mobile. Look, I'm not saying a run like a Lamar Jackson. It doesn't have to be that, but there's a threat of them running and running for a lot of yards. When you look at the top teams, right? Philadelphia's got Hurts. Obviously, Baltimore has Lamar Jackson. Even Patrick Mahomes, although he's not known for, he can get out and get you those 10 yards, whenever you need a first down. So that's kind of where I think the NFL is going, anyways. So. Cool. Now they did that. So that's why I thought they were going to be worse. I didn't think they'd let him do it.
Yeah.
Because they were scared he was going to get hurt, which is always the fear. But they did. And there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I know we have a lot of basketball to get to, but really quick, Jay, 49ers, obviously Jimmy got hurt. We still ran away with that game against the Dolphins, which I'm just going to say I knew was going to happen because when Raheem started talking all that, I just knew we were going to lock in. But how and thank God we didn't get Baker Mayfield, because I was so concerned that we were just gonna pick him up real quick. I was like, no, we can't do this, and we didn't. The Rams, they saved us. So tell me what you think about Brock Purdy really quickly, and of course we got the news that Jimmy might return. How do you feel about that? Do you think that's even something we should hope or expect for?
Two things, H, and you're gonna kill me for this. I'm out on Jimmy G. I'm out.
What?
I'm out.
I'm
out. And the reason why I'm out is because he's made of glass.
Yeah.
Not only is he made of glass, twice in the last 3 years.
You're out? Hold on. Time out.
One more time for the people in the cheap seats. Tone, H, I'm out on Jimmy G. I'm out.
Jay, you got hurt.
I'm out.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm out, 2 of the last 3 years, he's had season-ending injuries, and it's derailed our season. The 49ers handled this completely and utterly poorly. How did they do that? We knew that Jimmy G was going to get banged up. It wasn't news. We said that before the season started. Yeah. But instead, you rushed the kid. You rushed Trey Lance, who wasn't ready. The only reason why you held on, Tone and I had this argument, and we went at it. Tone tells me that he doesn't think the 49ers got an offer that they liked for Jimmy G. My rebuttal to that was, yes, they did. The only reason why they didn't act on it was because they saw Trey Lance and they thought, wait a minute, maybe he isn't ready and we might want to hold on to him. And we might want to hold on to Jimmy G instead of flipping it around and making Jimmy G the starter from the door, knowing that he was going to get banged up. Trey Lance was going to get the reps that he needed. And not only was he going to get the reps that he needed, he would learn. So instead of us only being down 1 quarterback, now we're down 2. Now, when you think about Purdy, real quick, Tone, he just looked like he knew what he was doing.
Didn't he?
He just
so natural.
Yeah, I know what you think.
Wow. No. Even before the season started, I saw those preseason workouts. I'm saying he looks good. And he knew, he came in not knowing he was going to play, and he knew all the plays. He knew exactly what to do, and that shows a lot about the work that he's putting in, even if he doesn't play.
So, and I know you ain't sold, Tone, because the same thing happened with the Jets with Mike White a week ago. Mike White comes in.
I told you guys, don't fall in love with Mike White. 1 week, man.
The same thing happened with Mike White. Everybody's looking at Mike White like, okay, we got our starter. And then the next week, he looked like he shouldn't even be starting in high school. He's garbage, right? But Purdy, on the other hand, I don't know what it is. And it's not, I'm being biased because I'm a 49er fan, but he just looked like he knew what he was doing. Now, was he awesome? No. Well, he just looked like, okay, I got this under control. I'm not going to kill us. I'm not going to do anything to put us in harm's way. I'm just going to do enough that we don't lose, like a game manager. And that's what he looked like. Now, next week, right? Next week when we play Tampa, we might be looking at a different quarterback. I'm interested to see how they use him in schemes. I'm interested to see if they open up the playbook, because he can throw the football. He's a 4-year start at Iowa State, right? He's a 4-year start at Iowa State. Got one of the best arms coming in. There was a reason why he was a late draft pick. But I'm interested to see how he does against Tampa. I don't want to jump the gun. It's just he looked like he knew what he was doing. H. He just did. Yeah. He looked like he knew what he was doing.
I mean, to be able to come in with no hesitation and win that game especially was so big time under that kind of pressure. Yes, it was at home, so it was a little bit different feeling than it might have been on the road, but I agree with you, and I'm probably biased as well. I mean, he could have been trash. He could have, and he wasn't. And honestly, like, I'm not out on Jimmy G. I have that little tinge of hope that he'll come back and finish it off. Really? Nah.
I'm out.
That's pain.
I'm out.
Yeah. I'm just out on all of them.
I think you're.
What do you think we should have done? Sign Baker Mayfield?
No.
Baker Mayfield's not an NFL quarterback. Baker Mayfield, I said this last night on Gridiron. Baker Mayfield should be the face of the XFL. Let him do crazy things. Let him show his great personality that he has. Right? Yeah. Let him lead an XFL team into mediocrity. That's a great spot for him.
Butter.
Imagine that offer, his face. Oh.
You've been out on Baker Mayfield, Otone. I tried to convince.
I've been off on him since draft day.
Yeah.
Right. Like back when he was, that's when I was starting my friendship with Coach Jackson, and later on we had a conversation, and anything Cleveland does is wrong. Like you guys don't realize, and I know we're gonna get to basketball, guys, I promise, in a second. Yeah. But you guys don't realize they wanted to use the pick that they used on Myles Garrett. They wanted Mitch Trubisky. And coach Hugh had enough capital still at that time within the organization where they weren't listening to him. They weren't doing what he wanted, which was, again, a whole nother story. You can go back through my YouTube channel and see all those conversations we had. But he basically was like, you're not like, there's like, we will revolt if you pick Mitch Trubisky. Like, we're taking, like, he wanted, I believe he wanted, I don't know if he said he wanted Watson. I got to go back and look at the tape. I think he wanted Watson.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, we're taking Trubisky. And so they were like, just take the defensive guy. Just take, I think it was that year. I could be wrong. But I know he wanted somebody else. They wanted Mitch Trubisky. They ended up taking, I think, Myles Garrett. So it was a big, anyways. It was a big how do you do, as the old folks say.
Yeah, they got away with that one. Do we want to do a couple super chats real quick, or get into it at the end?
Yeah, sure. Let's do a couple super chats. Here we go. I'll pull up. I think this was the first one, if memory serves me correct. Yeah.
All right. Chill. What up, Fluent? What up? Also, Dub, don't know ball. I respect the whole platform, but that guy. Okay. Thanks, Big Holmes. Appreciate you.
We'll leave that one up.
Yeah, we'll have to have Dub on here soon. Yeah, I know you guys have beef. I know.
No.
I'm here for it though.
I've already said.
Me too, H. I'm right here.
Dub has beef with you. You're just there.
Too, H.
He has beef. He has beef with me. He hates me. He's made that clear. I don't have enough feelings for someone to have beef or hate them. Like, you have to actually care about someone to hate. I don't hate.
Yeah.
Me too, H. I'm here for it too, H. I'm right here.
I just as I've said, I think he can learn a lot. I think he's got a lot of potential. He's grown a lot since I first saw him on Player's Choice. But I'm sorry, you can't watch basketball for 2 years and think that you're a historical expert. You can't. It's impossible. It's just physically impossible. Years, even if you digest information every second of every day and you have an eidetic memory like Jay, you still couldn't do it in 2 years. It's impossible. Now everybody's entitled to their opinions, and everybody has a right to their opinion. I'm cool with that. I'm cool.
You know what's interesting? I've seen one of the guys on my TikTok. I forget what his name, but he's dope. I'll try to remember and put the link. But he was saying there's a huge difference between NBA, being a fan of the NBA, and being a fan of basketball. And I think that gets extremely misconstrued. And personally, like, I've grown to love basketball, and I'm still growing to love basketball more and more, but I love the NBA. So it's very separate. And I think people get really emotionally involved. And I'm sometimes one of those people. Obviously, that's a huge part of what we do and why we love it. But yeah, Dub, he can break down things in a really good way, but sometimes he's so stuck in his ways that, you know, so if you're there, Dub, we'll have to get you on. But yeah, good question. Okay, so I feel like
are we not doing any more? Are we not doing any more super chats?
Yeah, go one more.
Okay, no, I have two more, but I thought I'd throw on. I you know, I'm a big fan of Bama, so I figured I even though it wasn't a super chat, I'd throw his on there. All right, here's the next one. We got one more after this, and then we'll jump into our I think our lead topic, but.
Andrew G said, don't see how Tatum can win MVP truly when he has JB on his side. Hope Chill learns we win by committee. Like,
just so you know, I'm glad you mentioned that by committee, because for the last 10 games before last night when they won by, I cut the game off, they were up by 40. But the last 10 games, Jason Tatum is averaging 29, 9, and 5, right? 29, 9, and 5. He's got his highest defensive rating that he's had since he's been in the league. So this whole by committee thing, if he was out the lineup, you don't have a guy on your crew that's going to replace 29, 9, and 5. You're not. So kill the whole committee thing. Dead it.
Wait, I'm confused. So what's his question?
Right. I think he's saying Tatum can't win MVP because he has Jaylen Brown and help.
Yeah.
But I got to disagree, because basically what you're saying then is no player can win MVP if they have quality teammates. So Shaq couldn't win an MVP because he had Kobe.
Right.
LeBron couldn't win an MVP because he had Wade. With Jordan, and maybe Jordan couldn't win an MVP because he had Pippen. Like, where do you draw the line of quality teammates that if you have a good enough supporting cast, you can't be an MVP? No, the MVP is, and that's a problem. This is where we get into the debate, right? Is the MVP is not the best player in the league,
right?
And it's not the most valuable to their team, because then any team that only has one superstar, right? If you take them away and the team stinks, then that person would always win, and it's not the case.
Right.
So,
and what teams have one superstar anyway, or one star or two? You know, every team has stacked now these days, I feel like.
There's I'm sure there's team. I'm trying to think.
Every team has at least two stars.
No, Dallas. If you take Luka off Dallas is Houston. Yeah. Right, so he should win the MVP because he's definitely the most valuable to his team's success. Well, that's not the criteria either.
No,
basically what it is, it's who's the best player on one of the best teams. That's really the criteria. Now there's exceptions, right? And I think Jay, you brought it up earlier. Russell Westbrook, his first triple double season, right? It was the first time in 60 years. And if you go back and watch the film, right, you've got Magic and Isaiah and, commentators saying, Oscar averaged a triple-double. That's never going to happen again. It's like Wilt's 100. Mm-hmm. So, of course, when Westbrook does it, everyone's like, wow, he has to be the MVP because, one, it hasn't happened in so long. And two, these guys that know, Magic Johnson said, no one's doing it again. And he did it. So there's exceptions. Jokic, 6th seed, he gets it. But if you think about it, how many years of MVPs have we had?
Since 55.
Since 55. So that is 70 years? No, 67 years, whatever the heck it is. You guys do the math.
Yep.
For all of those, so let's call it 65. So 65 MVPs, and there's been 3 that have had a losing record. Or not a losing record, but didn't have a top 4 seed. I think it was Bob Pettit was like 37 and 33 or 33 and 37, something weird like that. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Westbrook, and now Jokic, who was a 6th seed, but those are the guys that didn't have really good teams. Okay, so 4 times out of 65, clearly that's the exception, not the rule. Right. And that's what drives me nuts with people, is that they think that the exception is the rule. Oh, something happened once. Oh, so there you go. No, if it happened a different way 99 times, that's the more common one. Right.
And it happened, and the fact that it happened recently, that's why they make it the rule, because it just happened yesterday. So now all of a sudden, this is going to continue to happen. But the idea of it being the most valuable to your team's success, that is the case, Tone, only except if you're a 7 seed, you're not more valuable to your team's success than a guy who's a 3 seed. or a 2 seed. I don't care what it is that you're doing. You can't sell me that Luka's, let's say 33, 9 and 7 is more valuable than Giannis's 30 and 12 on a 2nd seed. It's not. You can't sell me that as good as he's playing. And if you take him off that unit, if you take Giannis off of Milwaukee probably still a playoff team, but they're at the bottom of the East. They might be a play-in team. If you take Luka off of Dallas, they're at the bottom of the Western Conference. But if you got Luka on the Dallas Mavericks, they're a 7 seed. They're an 8 seed. That's not that drastic to me. That's not that drastic. So when I think about Jason Tatum and I think about Jaylen Brown, there's no way that you can sell me that just because he's playing alongside a great player, that doesn't mean that he can't be great. And the last I checked, I mean, when Jordan won the league MVP in 1996, Scottie Pippen was a top 5 player. Nobody talks about that. It was the 3rd time in a row that Scottie Pippen was first team All NBA and he was first team All Defense. It was the 3rd year in a row. He was playing with a top 5 player. That did not deter the voters from voting for Jordan to be the league MVP. So just because you playing on a really good team with a really good sidekick or a really good number 2 or 1A or 1B, that doesn't mean that that's going to deter them from not giving you the league MVP. It doesn't mean that you got to be on a bomb squad or not a bomb squad. That doesn't mean that you got to be clearly the best player on that team. That doesn't mean that.
I guess for me personally, like, you guys know how I feel about Tatum, and I have like tried to change my perspective on him heading into this
You're not
season.
high on Tatum, right?
I've never liked Tatum. I'm starting to like him, and like you've always said, both of you, like year 5, you kind of see their ceiling, and I think Tatum showed that last season, and now he's even exceeding that. But I'm maybe one of the rare few actually am super high on Jaylen Brown, and I do like the rest of the Celtics. And I mean, last season's Defensive Player of the Year, you have you have Rob Williams, you have a really Smart. really good team, and they did grow that team, so I'm not discounting that whatsoever. But I do think that if you took Tatum out of the equation and brought in an Andrew Wiggins level player, if you will, I think that they could be just as good. So I don't know if I feel like JT is MVP, but maybe that's just me. But in your opinion, do you both think that JT is leading that MVP race right now?
I don't know if he's leading it, because I'm having a difficult time with Giannis being as good as he is. Not just being as good as he is. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a difference between the better player and the league MVP. Giannis is the better player, but when I think about the league MVP, Jason Tatum might edge him this much, considering they're at the top of the league. Even though, I mean, Giannis, I think he's 30, 12, and 5. He's got the most 30-point games in the NBA, and I think he's in the top 5. I think he's 3rd in the league in rebounding. So that team goes as he goes, and he is the best player, right? He is the best player. He is the better player. But with that being said, I think that Tatum, as of right now, he's edging him. I'm a Giannis guy, and anybody who knows me knows that I'm a Giannis guy. But I'm just glad we having this conversation, because Tone was roasting me around this time last year. Tone had a look on his face.
You kept saying next year where he's going to be in the MVP conversation. You said it all last year.
Yeah.
And I kept saying he needs to take a step. And I didn't see it, because come playoff time, he regressed. He became more inconsistent in the playoffs. So I thought, I don't think he's going to take that step. Hey, he proved me wrong. Good for him. That's the beauty of having an opinion, right? And not a belief. A belief you can't change. An opinion, hey, new facts come in, you change it. So good for him. He took that step forward.
Yeah.
And so far, I mean, yes, but we know JT's thing is his consistency, and can he be consistent not only through the rest of the season, but in the playoffs as well. So we shall see. But I have come around to the Celtics, and to me, they look like the best team in the league. So they're definitely scary. RIP to my Dubs, because we play them on Saturday. So but anyways, what is the main topic? Is it the Draymond? Are we gonna get into the Draymond?
You're the host. You're the host. You whatever you want.
Oh, this is so cringy, but okay.
Draymond, and then if our special guest shows, like, he's not here yet, so we can't do that topic. So I guess Draymond is next.
Okay.
Ticket, you can catch me in traffic too, by the way. You can absolutely catch me in traffic, my man. I am not hard to find.
Is Ticket our guest?
What happened? No, Ticket's not our guest. Why?
But who's our guest? Ticket talking about he waiting to cook me. But we had this whole. I think this is about the it's just ticket. Like I said, you know where to find me. I am not hard to find.
Yeah, you guys can have a great chat. Tuesday.
Yeah,
5
exactly.
p.m. Eastern on the panel.
Absolutely. So as you were saying, H.
Oh yeah. So over a couple, I think it was like 3 days ago, Draymond Green gave his updated top 5, and his top 5 was Shaq at 5, Steph at 4, Kobe at 3, MJ at 2, and LJ at 1.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially his argument was that
hold on, can you sped really
yeah. Let me slow it down.
No, Tone heard it. He just it's one of those things where
if you really want to come on, we'll make some time for you. Just hit me up and I'll send you the link.
Yeah, he heard it.
I want you to give me that
Maybe
I want you to give me that 5.
Yeah,
okay.
He heard it. He just want to hear it again.
No, I want you to say it slower.
Okay. At 5, he had Shaq. At 4, he had Steph. At 3, he had Kobe. At 2, he had MJ. And at 1, he had LeBron James. And okay, I have my own opinions on this, but we'll just get started. So yeah, he basically said, LeBron beat the best team that was ever assembled, meaning the Warriors. And that he carries teams and all these things, which some of which I agree with, some of which I don't. But Fluent, what can you take away from this? If you watched the interview, and how do you feel I know you don't. I know how you feel about LeBron being at 1. I know how you feel about that. He's like much lower for you.
I've said this before. Whether you have LeBron, Jordan, Kareem at 1, 2, 3, like I think those 3 guys are my 1, 2, 3. The order, each person's going to have their own specific criteria. So I'm okay with him having LeBron 1 and Jordan 2. I love him having Kobe at 3. I absolutely love him having Kobe at 3.
I love him having Steph at 4.
Steph at 4 is
I know.
Back at 5 is an interesting one.
Yes.
I'm less concerned with the list and the order, and I'm more concerned with this dumb shit he said, like he beat the greatest team ever assembled, when that team got better the year after, like significantly better. So how could that team be the best team ever assembled if the next year's team was significantly better? Oh, it's because they won 73 games in the regular season. Well, no, you don't want to use that logic, because if you use that logic, well, then Jordan would be your GOAT because he beat more 60 win teams. He beat more 50 win teams. His average finals opponents had more wins than LeBron's finals opponents. So wins in the regular season don't matter. Wins in the regular season don't matter. You know why else? Ask Draymond Green. If KD doesn't get hurt, do they lose to the Raptors? And he'll say, hell no. But the Raptors beat you 3 times in the regular season with KD. Oh, but that was the regular season. Okay, so does the regular season matter or not? Pick one. It doesn't matter when it's convenient for you, and then it doesn't matter when it's not convenient. So it wasn't the greatest team ever assembled, because we all know it wasn't the greatest team assembled, because if it was, they would have won the chip. So the logic behind it is just completely flawed. Completely flawed. Well, I don't have the numbers exactly. I wish I had the numbers exactly in front of me, but I want to say 50 win teams. Jordan was like 19-10. LeBron was 7-3. 60 win teams. Jordan was 10-3, and LeBron was had a losing record 3-7. So you don't want to bring up. Trust me, you don't want to bring up regular season wins as a criteria, because then your logic's out through the window. Well, again, I have no problem with someone having LeBron 1. I disagree.
Yeah,
but the logic is way wrong.
Well, the first problem is the idea of him beating the best team assembled. Now they had the best season.
Something to do with him being on it.
Yeah, they had the best.
Yeah, I feel like he has to, like truly. That's Draymond logic, though. Like he truly believes that.
Of course. Now they weren't the best team assembled. They had the best season in NBA history. Right,
they had the best regular season.
Right, they had the best regular season. If they win, and they also had the biggest collapse in NBA history too. So if they win the NBA championship, are they the best team in NBA history? Probably. However, I can't. If I'm going to talk about James being the best ever, I'm not going to talk about him beating the best. I'm not going to talk about James beating the best teams ever. right? And the reason why I'm not going to do that is because that could easily get countered with Jordan went to the NBA Finals 6 times. All 6 of the teams that Jordan saw in the NBA Finals, they were the best team in the league. Every team that he saw, it wasn't the second or the third. Jordan saw the best team in the league. It was the 2 best teams in the league that went at it. So I can't just use that logic. Now, what I can do is I can appreciate Draymond's logic because of what he saw James go through. And the fact that, there's a generation of kids that don't know the NBA Finals without LeBron James. This dude went to the NBA Finals 8 straight years, 9 times in 10 years. I don't think I'm going to see that again in my lifetime. He's had the best postseasons, not postseason, singular, but postseasons, plural, in NBA history. I mean, we're talking about a guy who he didn't single-handedly do it, but he had to go up against some really difficult teams. He had to go up against some really difficult teams. And in the process of him going up against really difficult teams, this dude really performed. And he showed up, with the exception of 2011. He gave us a really good show. I haven't seen, with the exception of Jay, I haven't seen a lot of guys perform in the postseason the way he did. And when I think about a guy being the best player in the game from 2005 to 2020, well, I wasn't prepared to say that James was the best player in 2005. I got up to 2009. That's when I thought, between 2008 and 2009 was when I thought he was the best player in the game. But I still thought that Kobe Bryant in 2010, because he was a back-to-back league MVP, I couldn't deny that. Even though I still felt like James was the best player in the game, I couldn't deny the fact that he was a back-to-back league. Bryant was a back-to-back league MVP, and that won the back-to-back finals MVP, and that won the league MVP 2 years before that. So winning the league MVP and twice the finals MVP, it's hard to fight that you're the best player in the game. But I thought that James was the best player in the game because he was a back-to-back league MVP and he finished second in defensive player of the year. So he was at that level at that time. At 2005, James was definitely a top 5 player in the game. Tim Duncan in 2005 was the best player in the game.
What?
So, and when I
just want to pull this up real quick so that everyone can know, if you ever want a basketball take, I don't know who Ghost 2000 is, but he's not the ones to get it from.
No, he's not. No, he is not.
He clearly does not have.
No, he is not. The whole weaker competition logic, I can't use that. The reason why I can't use that is because the teams that Jordan went up against, that Laker team that he went up against in 91, they were the best team in the Western Conference. They weren't the second or the third best team. They were the best team in the Western Conference.
Every single one. It was the 1 or 2 seed.
No, it was the 1 and the 1.
No, I'm saying the 1 and 2 seed in the NBA,
right,
or the 1 seed. Yeah,
right. The only one was Jordan.
91, the Lakers were the 2 seed in the West. That was
right. So they were the 2 seed, and what you call it, and
but when people say
the Bulls were the 3rd seed,
maybe you know, Hailey, weaker competition. What does that mean? I'd love to know what that means.
I mean, it's an art. It's hard to say because there's so many factors that come into it. Like, I think that can be an argument, but when you go into that, then you have to go into like, what
do they mean? What does your generation mean? Weaker competition.
Well, when you look at that, it's like, look at the league as a whole. Now, I think there's far more stars and superstars in the league than there were at that time. But also, you have to take into consideration, okay, well, what access to, facilities and all these things to help their bodies. Like, they didn't have all that back then.
So you're saying that the players are more talented and skilled today?
I think there's more talented and skilled players right now.
Okay.
Yes.
So does that also mean that each player has more talented and skilled teammates?
Yeah. Not every team, but I think in general, yeah.
So if all the players are more talented and skilled today and all the players were less talented and skilled, isn't it an even playing field? Can you not then only judge based on the era you're in and how you fared against your era of competition?
Yeah, I think you can, but that's still an argument that,
Is it? No, I don't think it's an argument. I think it's a flawed argument by someone who's that has a narrative to say that every single player. So does that mean in 10 years, all of today's players will be garbage?
Yes, Tone. Yes, that's exactly what's going to happen. I'm telling you right now. In the next 10 years,
hold on. I want to see Hailey's head explode. It's about to go boom.
I know that you don't want to hear that, but
the game grows, and so do the players, and so does the skill set that come. Like you're seeing these you're seeing more rookies come in and be able to be a dominant force in the league. I'm not saying like obviously like we saw Kobe and we saw Magic, and there's so many players that came in and automatically, started playing pretty well. Mm-hmm. But I think we're just going to continue to see more and more of that personally. So,
all right.
But yeah. I don't know. I feel that argument, but when you open that door, then a lot of other things have to be talked about, and then it just becomes irrelevant.
Basically, what you're saying when you use that argument is in 10 years from now, all the players playing today will be obsolete. So what you'll forever be saying is the next decade will have better players. And here's the thing: players today, when you say they're more skilled, I actually disagree with that. I think they have a different set of skills. They have a different set of skills. They're much more. They're much better 3-point shooters.
Yeah,
I agree with that. They shoot a lot more threes, although it's only like 2% higher. It's not like they're way more efficient, but they shoot more. And are they better post players? Are they better fundamentally? Are they better defensively?
No.
Well, those things are they better rebounders?
No.
Those things are all skills. So we're picking the skills that we want. Well, they're better ball handlers. Yes, well, why are they better ball handlers? Well, because they've been watching the other guys and they take what they did and they move it forward. Just like Dr. Day dunked, and then Jordan took it to the next level, and then Vince Carter took it to the next level, and then everybody, they steal from what the former guys did and they improve from it. I agree with that. Yeah. So they're better on certain things, but we forget, but they're worse on others. We just ignore that. Is the work ethic better today than it was back then?
I'm not going to go that far.
Yeah, that's somebody's heart. I don't think you can measure that.
I'm not going to go that
far. Those are things you can control.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying is I agree. I agree that overall the talent pool is bigger. I agree. The skill set is better, but it's not this much better. It's like this much better. Well, and it's different things.
Yeah. The thing that bothers me when I hear the skills argument is you make it sound like I couldn't do what's going on today. If I played 30 years ago, I couldn't do that. And that's just not true. It just wasn't something that was going on. So the game was being played, dump the ball into the big guy. That doesn't mean that my handle wasn't like that. I could handle the ball like that. I could play fast like that. Dale Ellis could shoot the long ball just as good as some of the better long ball shooters. Chris Mullin could shoot the long ball as just as good as some of the long ball shooters in today's game. The logic that I have a difficult time with is when I got to listen to people talk about how this guy would just destroy this guy 20 years ago. That doesn't mean just because I wasn't doing it doesn't mean that I can't do that.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I look at my second favorite player in the league, Ja Morant.
Right.
Second favorite player in the league. Love it.
Yeah.
Someone just put together a 5-minute compilation of him dribbling. Not once did he do anything that 30 years ago wouldn't have been called a carry.
Right.
So is he a better ball handler, or do they allow them to get away with more stuff? The fact that there's a gather step. Could you imagine if Jordan or Neek or those guys had a third step?
I still have not gotten a satisfactory answer on what a gather step is, so I don't understand it.
I know you always are posting about it.
I don't understand it. I don't know what a gather step is. I don't get it.
It's a third step. So that's what I'm saying is the time machine thing is such a flawed argument because, of course, if you, I agree 100%. You take someone from today and you put them 60 years ago, they're cooking those guys. If they get to use today's rules,
right?
Not if they use 60 years ago rules,
right?
Because those guys wouldn't. They'd have to adapt. Now they would adapt. I think they're all tremendous athletes. So that's why I say those things are flawed. And again, hey,
it's not a good point. It's not a great point to bring into an argument.
If you saw the thing we did, the Black Friday, what era did I pick as the best era for basketball?
What era did you pick?
Oh, you picked now, didn't you?
I picked now. So it's not like I'm some biased old head who's like, the 50s were the greatest time because we put it into the center and No, it's that I'm knowledgeable enough to understand that those eras had different rules. different set of standards. Everything was different, so I can't compare it to today. But I love watching today's basketball. Absolutely, it's the most entertaining I've ever had. The talent is phenomenal. But I'm not going to disrespect those guys because I know, Bob Cousy couldn't dribble with his left. Well, sure, because in school, if he tried to do anything with his left hand, he'd get slapped with a ruler.
Right.
That's you have to be smart enough to know that. So that's all.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
Just
be aware. Just be aware.
Green lights.
I'm just trying to make people,
Now you're more fluent.
That's all.
I think Tyson had a follow-up too. I don't know if he would, because I explained what I thought, but he might have kind of given his take on what he actually meant. I think he's super chat.
It's a super chat?
Or maybe not. Maybe not.
Yeah. Weaker competition. All right, I'll let you go ahead. You do your thing.
I'll read it from here. So weaker competition because there were no dominant wings in the in that 92 to 98. The most important position in basketball can affect the game in many ways. The second best one was on his team.
Well, first of all, we also have to remember from 1992 to 1998, that was a big man era. But there were awesome wing players during that time. I mean, I can go down the list. Mitch Richmond, Michael Jordan, Clyde Drexler, Eddie Jones, Latrell Sprewell, Dan Marley, let's see, Dominique Wilkins. There were plenty, Scottie Pippen. There were plenty of awesome wing players, but the game was played through the big man.
It wasn't the most important position is the point.
Right. But that doesn't mean that there were no dominant wing players. There were great wing players that played during that time, but the game was played through the big guy. And because the game was played through the big guy, that overshadowed how awesome these wing players actually were, which would explain why today, when you see the game being played the way it is, it overshadows what big guys still can do.
Yeah, haven't big men won the MVP the last 3-4 years?
Three of the last 4 years, big guys have won.
Here's the funny thing when people say there was no dominant wings. One, up until the mid to late 90s, it was still primarily, there was exceptions, but every team was trying to find the big man. Who's going to be, right? Hakeem Olajuwon, who's Patrick Ewing. It was still about the big man. Yeah. It was Jordan's success and the Bulls' success that people were like, hey, you can win without a dominant big man. You can win with a guy who leads in scoring. In the history of the NBA, do you know how many times the leading scorer has won an NBA championship?
Let's see. How many times the leading scorer has done it? I think 4. No, let's see. Jordan did it in 91. No, well, I'm sorry.
I'll show you my memory. It was 8.
Right. Jabbar did it in 71.
Jabbar did it. Then Jordan.
Right.
Then Shaq.
Yep. And then Shaq did it in 2000. Yep.
That's it. Mm-hmm. So back to my point. So Jordan showed that you can win without a dominant big man, because other than that, it was always big men. You could win without and then teams started to say, hey, let's look at wings. And then that's when the era of the Kobe's and whatever, it started right after that, when people started looking at, I'd want to say it was Doug Collins, maybe. Granted, he's a Jordan, fan. But I think they asked Doug, it was either Doug Collins or Magic Johnson. Right. There's somebody, Ahmad Rashad asked him, what's the perfect basketball player? And he said, I don't know. He's probably like 6'6", weighs about 215, went to North Carolina. That became like the prototype.
Sure.
Like in football, it's like, I want a 6'5", pocket passer who has a cannon for an arm. And right, that's what everybody started looking for.
Right.
Now, what are they looking for? Hey, let's look for combo guards. Let's look for guys who can shoot deep threes. That's the way that basketball evolves. There's ebbs and flows. The difference has been big men, the center, the power forward. We had 60 years of that, and we've only had, or maybe 50 years of that, and only 20 years of like guards and shooters. It's new. It's new to the NBA.
Yep.
Yeah. I just don't think that's a great argument to bring into it, because then like what ifs don't really matter. Like I don't know how you both feel about it, but like I don't like just stat sheets. Like reading a stat line does not tell you the whole game. And that's why it's really hard. Like I didn't get to see MJ play like that. Like I it's hard to know. I mean, I can watch highlights on YouTube and those are actually better than, something I'm going to see of even before that. But yeah, I feel like you do have to like be within reason and look at the stats versus, all the what ifs. So yes, but,
the what ifs, listen, the last thing on the what ifs, the what if is a lazy argument to prove a narrative, because anything you say, what if this way, someone else can say, what if that way. You can't. Again, the only thing you know for sure is this is who they played in their era. That's who dominated their era the best. And that's it. And any other argument, we can have it. I don't mind doing hypotheticals.
Right.
But you don't know. You don't know. Like someone asked me today, I just posted it on TikTok. What would Wilt Chamberlain be like today? And I'm like, a bigger, stronger, faster, better shooting, better passing Giannis. That's what I think. I could be wrong. He could be a bum. But based on what I know about this mythological guy who didn't exist.
But that's what I was getting ready to say, Tone. What are you talking about? We talking about a dude that are we sure? Who are we talking? I don't even know who this guy is.
If he did come down from Mount Olympus and play, he'd be in the MVP conversation every single year.
Right.
So, my opinion. You could say, well, I don't know. He played in black and white, and he wear really short shorts, so he's going to stink. Cool. That's your terrible opinion, but it's yours to have.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's facts. Really quick before we get into our fan question that somebody left us. Jay, Phoenix Suns, are they frauds this season?
They're not frauds, but I'm not going to say that they're frauds because I still have them as a top seed in the Western Conference. But I actually stayed up. I do have them as a top 2 seed in the Western Conference. I actually stayed up. Yeah, I actually stayed up to watch that game last night, and I was very disappointed. I almost turned it off when they were down by as many as 42 at one point. But then I was like, I want to see if they have the wherewithal to get back in this game, and they didn't. And they didn't. And the reason why they didn't, because Chris Paul just completely slowed them down. He didn't give them anything of significance last night. They looked like they were a team running in mud. Now, Devin Booker doesn't really do much on the defensive side of the basketball. He's probably average at best. And that team goes as, Mikal Bridges is the best wing defender that they have. But they still missing Cam Johnson. Once they get him back, I still don't know what they're doing with Jay Crowder. I think that they're going to get something for him. And I'm interested to see how that goes. But I don't think that they're frauds because they went against the best team in the NBA. And they got smoked in their building. Now, we could have this conversation, H, if, I don't know, Oklahoma City went in there last night and beat them by 30. We could have that conversation then. But to the Boston Celtics, who, as of right now, look like they're the championship favorites, to come in your building and smoke you, I'm not gonna go as far as to say that they're a fraud, but I expected a better effort than I saw last night. That was unacceptable. Absolutely not.
Okay, part 2 of the question, really quick.
Can I just say, yes, the Suns are a fraud. I'll just leave it at that. Go ahead, part 2.
Thank you. I agree with you. But, the thing about the Suns is that I think you're right in the sense, Jay, that they will end a higher seed, I think. But I just don't trust them. But part 2 of the question, Fluent, do you think that Chris Paul makes them better or worse? And also, is Devin Booker an MVP? Should he be in the MVP conversation? Because last season, how he, at like 3/4 of the way through, Stephen A was like, oh, we should be talking about Devin Booker. He's been like snubbed from the list. And I was like, okay. But then you look at him and like, yeah, he's gotten steadily better, little bit. Right. But should he be in that conversation?
Based on how we select the NBA, selects their MVPs, the best player on one of the best teams should be in consideration. Now, they didn't do it for Donovan Mitchell. I said this in Utah, and they should have, based on what they did historically. Now, I'm not saying he wins, but yeah, of course, the best player on the best team should be in the conversation. He's clearly got something to do with it. Like, I get it that they're saying, like, they're looking back and saying, well, they didn't get good until Chris Paul got there. So is he more responsible? I don't know. They look pretty. They look pretty good even when Chris Paul was out. He's clearly the best player. So again, I go back to the Jaylen Brown and Tatum thing. You don't knock a guy for being great on a great team because he has great teammates. That's just not how they've done it historically. And again, if you do that, then you're completely changing who and how we pick the MVP.
And I also think too, Tone, to add to that a guy like Chris Paul, if he's doing what got them there last year, then that's something completely different. But when he's not doing that, which he hasn't been, number one, he's been out of the lineup for almost a month. He's been out of the lineup for almost a month, and he comes back against the best team in the game. He doesn't get to come back. He doesn't have a couple of warm-up games. He gets to come back against the best team. Before he went out of the lineup, he was actually solid. Now, I expect him to play back. I expect him to play. I expect him to get back to that solid role again. Now, do I expect him to be Chris Paul from 2 years ago when they were in the NBA Finals? No, I don't expect to see that guy. But I do expect to see a guy who is solid at least. And if he's not doing that, then he's not really that much. He's not that helpful to them. Now, when you talk about Devin Booker, Tone, don't leave out the fact that he was out of the lineup last season too, and they were rolling. I think they were 16-8 with Devin Booker out of the lineup. I think they were rolling when he was out of the lineup too. And Chris Paul was giving them really good minutes. I think the problem that we have is that Chris Paul came back against the best team in the NBA, and it just looked really bad.
Maybe. We'll see. Jay, somebody asked if why are you rolling with the Suns but not the Pels?
Because they're a lead guard away from really challenging. When I see the one thing that never fails is when the playoffs happen, when the playoffs show up, your deficiencies get illuminated. So whatever you don't know how to do, they put a spotlight on that. So the fact, there's a reason why CJ McCullough played off the ball in Portland, because he's better off the ball. Now, you giving him the basketball, you're taking away from how effective he actually is as a scorer and as a playmaker, right? Now, with the basketball, if he's got to do that all the time, you're taking that away from him too, because now he's got to distribute for other guys. That was Dame's job. I think that New Orleans, as good as they are, I think they're a league guard away from really challenging for the Western Conference.
Who do you think could fill that or kind of complete them if you could pick anybody?
Tone and I had this conversation. A Mike Conley type of point guard is what they need.
Who's realistic? Who's realistic?
That's like available. Or
a realistic point, to be honest with you, Tone, I think Kyle Lowry could help them. I think he could keep. I think he could keep defenses honest. I think he's the floor leader. I think that he could. I think that he could keep them honest. In terms of defenses, I think he could keep them honest. And I think that they could, with Kyle Lowry on that unit, I think he could give them that floor leadership that they didn't have. He won't give them the scoring that they need at the league guard, but I think CJ playing off of Kyle Lowry, who was a defender, and he could still play. He might not be Kyle Lowry from 2019, but I think he could still play.
I don't like Kyle Lowry on Miami either. I love to see them kind of make it some kind of exchange. So that's an interesting. I don't know what they could get from the Pelicans, or maybe a 3-way trade or something.
I think Miami would hand him over for a bucket of extra crispy and a 6-pack.
Yeah,
I think Miami is out.
They're over it.
I think they out on Kyle Lowry. I think that whatever New Orleans offered, I think that they could get it for Kyle Lowry.
I think they just want to get out from his contract.
Yeah. All right, we got
some super chats you want to go through?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Also, what's the score? Rams, Raiders, anything good? Is Baker done?
Is Baker playing? Is Faker Mayfield on the
I was actually watching
13-3 Raiders.
Is it bad?
and
Baker Mayfield just surprisingly not threw an incomplete pass to Van Jefferson.
I'm actually watching the. I was just watching the Heat in the Clippers. I wasn't. Yeah, I was watching the Heat and the Clippers game just ended.
I wasn't gonna watch the game.
I'm
I watched
one drive by a Baker, and it was like
a wonderful game so far for Faker Butter Mayfield. 4 of 11 for 79. 4 of 11 for 70 yards. 1 sack. Wonderful, great job. You stink.
Love it. Okay. From Iman, is it mad to say Bird is greater than Braun? Not better, but greater.
Yes, it is mad to say that. And the reason why I have such a difficult time with this greater and better thing, because what you produce is who you are. I mean, James could have very well won. I mean, the league MVP that Bird won 3 straight years. I mean, James could have won it 5 straight years. He won it 4 times in 5 years. So we could start and stop the conversation with that right there. James has had more signature moments in the playoffs than Larry Bird. And in addition to him having more signature moments in the playoffs than Larry Bird, he had a longer stretch of being awesome. So in terms of being greater, no, he wasn't greater. Bird was not greater than James. I don't think he was on any level or better.
The argument of greater, typically is if someone had like a longer career, won more chips, won more MVPs, but the other player was clearly better, like talent and skill wise. But in this case, that's not true, because James has more championships, more MVPs. He has that stuff, and he's had the much longer career and peak.
Right.
However, the one and only fan base. And let me start off by saying, yes, it is mad to say Bird had a greater career than Bron. So for all the people who call me a Bron hater, there you go. There's some love for LeBron James. I'll move it to the poster too while I say it. All right. That being said, if you're a Kevin Durant fan who says he's the, a top 10 player, then you actually, I think, have to say that Bird is greater than LeBron, because the argument that the KD guys give me, if you have a different argument, then I'm not putting you into this equation, just the ones that I've been given. Well, you got to look at his efficiency. He's a 50, 40, 90 guy. That's why he's better. He's more versatile of a scorer. So he's a better player.
Right.
Well, Bird is a more versatile scorer. He is a virtual 50, 40, 90 guy for his career. So if that's your logic for KD, then you must also put Bird ahead of James. That's why a guy like Dell blows my mind. And I know, right? Because he has Larry Bird at 186, I believe, on his all-time list.
Yeah, that's
and
nice.
He's a KD he loves KD like as if KD pays his bills.
Yeah.
So the logic is just off there. Especially considering versus their era. Bird's also a better defender than KD.
Yeah.
So again, the only time anyone could say Bird is better than Bron, is that if you're using that versatility and 50, 40, 90, that logic, and then you got to be consistent. Or I guess I joked with Jay once, and it was a joke when I said, well, small forward, Bird's the greatest of all time. Point forward is LeBron James. So if you want to split it up like that, I did it to be funny. Right. But I don't think there's a world where you can say Bird is better or greater than Bron.
No.
I'm curious, how did Dell list all like 200 of his?
No.
He's just like, I have him at 186.
I think he said, I think the quote was, because someone sent it to me and I didn't even bother to respond because it was so ridiculous. What do you mean? I just learned some new stuff about Bird. I moved him up from 186 to 181. And I'm like,
oh yeah, okay.
Come on, dude.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Next one.
Right. From Stan 601, do you all think Bulls would have won 98-99 championship if Jordan didn't retire?
If they bring that unit back, I think they got a really good shot at winning it. As difficult as Tim Duncan would have been, as difficult as David Robinson would have been, I still think that Bulls team was the team to beat. With Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, Ron Harper. I mean, they were one of the deepest teams. Not only were they one of the deepest teams, they were one of the smartest teams. They were one of the better defensive teams. As good as Tim Duncan was, he still was young.
He was young. Yeah.
I was going to say, how old would MJ have been?
Jordan would have been 36 going into that season.
So you don't think age would have played a...
No. He was still at the top of his game.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tony. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say why I think they win. If it's not just if Jordan didn't retire. It's if Jordan retired, if they re-signed Pippen, if they kept if Phil Jackson's still the coach, like if they keep everyone, one, because they understand each other, right? Like they still had Kukoc, Rodman, like they still had Kerr and Harper, and like if you just look at that roster, 36 years old is not that old, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, 55 games that season because of the lockout or the strike. 50 games. Mm-hmm. So that works perfectly for an older team. Right. Like that's one of the knocks that I don't use, but LeBron haters will say 2 of his 4 championships were in a shortened season and the bubble when they got a break. That's why he won. He got a rest. He needs a rest. He's so soft. That being said, an older team like that Bulls only playing 50 games, that would have been the perfect situation for them to win their 4th. And I think he's right. I think the Spurs, like, who did they beat? They beat the Knicks that year? Yeah. Was it the Knicks? Mm-hmm. And
to compound
in the Bulls.
And to compound that, I mean, we're talking about, it's a 50-game season. Karl Malone won the league MVP that year. And the Utah Jazz were the oldest team in the league. So that definitely would have helped. No doubt about it. That would have helped.
All right.
Black Uru Strike said triple doubles show your teammates are worthless.
That's not true. That is not true at all.
It's not.
No, it isn't.
So by that logic, does that mean that if a player leads their team in points, rebounds, assists, anything else, that his team is worthless? So like Jokic,
Right.
Curry this year,
Right.
LeBron a couple of times. All those
Right.
guys, all their teammates are worthless.
No.
That's pretty interesting to have a worthless team in today's era where they're more skilled and more talented and such better competition to have such terrible. How does that? I always wonder how do these superstars nowadays in this huge talent pool of superstars galore and all these players are so much better, Hailey. How do they get stuck with worthless players all the time? How is it only their teams that have crappy? I always wonder, how do today's superstars always get stuck with terrible teams that they have to carry in this uber talented, skilled league? But a Jordan, let's say, for example, had all the greatest players and the rest, and then all the competition sucked.
And they winning too, Tone. Don't leave that part out. Like it's not like they're just worthless. They're worthless, and we winning the NBA championship. You know, they're worthless, and we going to the Western Conference championship. Stuff like that.
See the logic. See how people don't use logic. They use a narrative to prove a point without thinking of the other stuff that happens when you use that.
I'm straight.
All right. I like web slinger.
More skilled, the rules are more lenient today, which lets players do more things on offense, but people always want to leave that part out.
So when Allen Iverson introduced us to the left to right crossover when he had the ball all the way out here, it was frowned upon. That's a carry. Ja's doing it, and he is such a good ball handler. He is so nice with the peel. Like, well, wait a minute. I mean, when Allen Iverson was doing that, it looked so bad. Well, you can't do that. That's illegal. Now, when you got other guys doing it with gather steps, not only gather steps, with carrying the basketball, these guys are ridiculous ball handlers. I mean, it sounds like it's
the clip that was sent to me because it was sent to me in response to me saying Ja's like my second favorite player. I love to watch him play. So yeah, blah, blah. And they were like, watch this, and he takes the ball right, and he literally under the ball like this holds it. And then in between a dribble. So it's like dribble under, like not even a little bit under, and then he does something else.
Jordan Poole does that quite a bit too.
And gets going with it too. Like
it happens so fast too.
It takes 3 steps and then dribble. It's crazy.
Can you do that? That's weird.
He can't, but he does.
Sometimes they get away with it. Yeah.
No,
they've even with their crackdown a little bit this season on traveling and stuff. They're still
at least on us.
They still get away with murder in comparison. So that's why I say you got to take it with yes, they're doing more things, but they're also allowed to do more things again, which makes the game. The whole point is to make the game faster, more exciting to watch, higher scoring. That's the goal. So they're doing it deliberately. Still fun to watch, but imagine Jordan with those hands that he had. People forget Jordan had like Kawhi Leonard hands.
Huge.
Right? Like he could, when he held the basketball, like the basketball almost got lost in it. And you saw like his pump fakes. Imagine if he could go under the ball. It would have been crazy. And not just him. I use him as the example, but there's others too. Imagine Isaiah got to carry the ball. Like people forget Isaiah Thomas, like Zeke, the true Isaiah Thomas. Dude was nasty ball handler.
Yeah.
They don't give him enough love, but also he couldn't get away with as much stuff.
Fact.
Okay, Tyson again. He said, no, guys, 70s, 80s had all-time great wings. We know about 20s. Was it not a drop in the 90s? Earl, Pearl, Dr. J, Sydney, Magic.
Magic was a wing player?
Magic was not a wing player. No, that's not true.
West?
Yeah.
Who West? Jerry West?
What?
Jerry West was a coach in the 80s.
Right.
Delonte?
And Adrian Dantley. Okay,
Dantley.
Yeah.
The 70s and 80s had all-time great wings. We know about 20 of them. Was a drop in the 90s. I when I think about the all-time great wings, as opposed to like from 1992 to 1998, I mean the wing players were awesome. They were great wing players. Damn, Jordan, Mitch Richmond, Chris Mullin, Dan Marley. These guys, all NBA performers. All NBA performers. And I think the stance is
okay, here's some of the best ones from the 90s. I pulled up a list to make it easier because my memory is,
right.
Dan Marley, Dominique Wilkins, Vin Baker, people forget about Vin Baker, Glenn Rice, Derek Coleman, Latrell Sprewell, people sleeping on Sprewell, Chris Mullin, Joe Dumars, Tim Hardaway. Oh no, he was a point guard. Grant Hill, we forgot about Grant Hill. Penny Hardaway technically was kind of Mitch Richmond.
Eddie Jones.
Reggie Miller. Forgot about Reggie. Sean
Clyde Drexler.
Clyde Drexler.
Kemp wasn't a wing player. Derek Coleman wasn't a wing player. These guys were bigs.
Well, yeah, okay. Was Barkley's listed as a power forward, but he played Scottie Pippen. We're just saying shooting guards and small forwards, like Michael Jordan, of course,
right,
the best one of them all. So it's interesting because people want to pick on, or they want to accentuate one piece. Oh, the wings might, and maybe there was more better. Maybe there was a bigger talent pool of wings in the 80s. Cool, right. But that again, so what? Right? There's certain generations that had better point guards, better centers, better power forwards, better small forwards. Like it's cyclical. But were the teams, like, it was more team ball. There was better defense. There was like everything. Now there's better 3-point shooting. You can pick any era and make an argument that something was better than the other. I don't get the argument to say, okay, so let's assume Tyson is correct. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Fine. The 90s didn't have great wing players. Cool. So what? What's the so what of it?
Yeah, what's up? Yeah. What are we at?
Look, I'll give you. I won't even argue. I'll say, okay, they didn't. So what? So what does that mean? Did they have bad teams? Did they not know how to play basketball?
I think that's where he's going with it.
They didn't have big names. They didn't have Hall of Famers. I'll give it to you. Cool. Yeah. So what?
I think his argument would be exactly that. The 90s, I think he's trying to argue that this era is the best era. The 90s didn't have that. And I think he's looking to argue that. That's fine. If you want to do that, do that.
Okay, this era has a lack of big men. Does that mean that this era stinks? Because there's what, 3 true centers?
Changed. We don't. Yeah,
that's right.
Just whatever's working.
We don't go through the center anymore, so no one cares. Okay, so what's your point? Again, I always go back. So what? If you can't give me the so what, then your point is just wasted.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. What else we got? You know what? We never our guest never showed.
Who was our guest?
Our guest was going to come on. It was a shame. Hopefully we'll get him on another time, but he was going to explain to us why he believes
James choked.
LeBron James choke job in 2014 when they lost to the Spurs was worse than his choke job in 2011 when they lost to the Mavs.
Mm-hmm.
So
I was really interested to hear that argument too, by the way.
Me too. He said he did his research.
Yeah. I was really interested to hear that.
He said he had everything all queued up on I'm just trying to see if I can get him. I'm trying to see if I can find him right now. He said that he had everything teed up to show us why.
Right.
That was the case. I've never heard that one before.
And the reason why you haven't heard it, Tone, is because it doesn't exist. That's why. That's why you haven't heard it.
How can you argue that?
No.
I'm interested.
He's a long time kind of in the chat. He supports us. He's with it. So if someone comes to me,
I was definitely
who's a supporter and says, "Hey, I have this argument to make," I'm bringing you on. Absolutely, right? Like, because I've heard that 2007, right? Everyone says, "Oh, his team stunk. He carried the worst team ever to the finals." And I say, cool, but they didn't make him shoot 69% from the free throw line. Oh, the Spurs triple teamed him, not at the free throw line, right? When I say, well, he shot under 30% from 3 and he shot under whatever 50% from the line. From 2. Okay, fine. You can say they were guarding him 4-on-1. Okay. Oh, he was only 22 years old. I'd love that excuse. They didn't make him shoot 69% from 3. Was 09 Jay, when he went 38, 8, and 8.
Yes, in the East Finals.
But he still shot 47% from the field, 29% from 3,
correct,
74% from the free throw line.
Yeah.
You can make a case. Well, he was really inefficient and maybe cost his team a game or two. Maybe. I'm just saying yes or no. The 14 one, I've never. That's why I was very excited to hear it, because I'd never heard that one before.
Vintage Gamer tells us
I think after the 09, 10, 11, which I think were horrible, right? This is where I tell Jay why I have LeBron second all time is the way he rebounded. He easily could have become just he can't win. He can't win the big one, right? Like, why wasn't he the favorite in the NBA Finals? Well, it's because the first 2 finals he went to, he stunk. and the bettors in Vegas go, oh, okay, he's a guy that just doesn't show up in the finals. He can't do it. So now they knock you down. He said, "Nuh-uh, I'm going to change that narrative," and he became one of the best playoff, if not the best playoff performers ever. Right. And I said this before. I think 2013 might have been the best NBA season of any player ever.
Yeah.
Hey, how you recover from your bad times tells me a lot about who you are as a player. That's why I hold him in such high regard. So when he said 14, again, I don't want to harp on that.
I was looking forward to hearing that logic. No doubt about that.
And we'll get him on. Here we go.
This dude, Vintage Gamer, talking about stop ducking ticket. Yo, my man, do you always just want to fight? Is that what you're looking for?
He does.
Is that what you're looking for, my man? Because you could come in here. Is that what you're looking for? Do you just always want to fight? Like, that's not what we do around here all the time. We do it. Don't get me wrong, but we don't do it all the time. If that's what you're looking for all the time, then you might want to go somewhere else, because we don't do that all the time. Give us a break, my man.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
It's Fluent and Chill.
And same thing with this other dude. That, I mean, like we got a lot of people, like when I'm on my live, we got a lot of people that come into my lives, and all they want to do is fight all the time, right? All they want, and I'm down for the fight, right?
But do they fight?
No, they don't.
They just want to hear me heard. They want attention.
Yeah, I don't. And here's the thing. The thing is these are the same people who they talk from. Like I said, they talk from the back of the cafeteria. Yo, they egging on these two dudes to fight. When in reality, they don't want to fight.
No. Nope.
No, it's.
But we'll have to get on at some point. We will.
We always tell people come on, but it's every time someone comes on, most people get real quiet.
Yeah.
Get real quiet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read this super chat from Juju. Thank you for it. This pod is amazing, having the two OGs share their knowledge and an amazing host. Also, quick question based off this really oh no, it disappeared. Based off this early season, who are y'all's season final predictions at this point in the season, Jay?
I still think that Milwaukee is the team to beat in the Eastern Conference. I think they win in the NBA championship. I don't have one team that I think in the Western Conference is the team. I don't. As of right now, I want to say it's Denver, right? I want to say it's Denver, but then I watched Denver a couple of nights ago, and they're so up and down. I really don't know. I really don't know who to pick in the Western Conference, even though I think that the road to the NBA championship goes through Golden State. But there isn't one team in the Western Conference where I'm going, that's the team right there.
Mm-hmm. Fluent.
What's the question? Sorry, I was sending the link out, or I'm still trying to get him on to tell us this. Yeah, right now if you can. I think he has to go to work, but if not, we'll reschedule him. But,
so who are your early season final picks? Juju asked who you got.
I'm gonna say, as of today, I'm gonna say Milwaukee, and I'm gonna say Denver.
Okay, I like it. Fluent.
All right, who's meeting in the finals?
Yeah.
Who's meeting in the finals? I'm worried about the Bucks were my pick to start the season, and I'm only gonna go against them just because I feel like I don't know that they're gonna get healthy, and I think they need to be healthy. Mm-hmm. And just so you guys know, anyone that's clicking the link, you're not invited on. This is just for the person who couldn't get on, because we are shutting down if he doesn't get here. So I apologize if I got you all excited. I'm gonna go with Boston to get back to the finals again. And out of the West is actually harder for me to pick because seriously, it's just it's really wide open because I don't trust Phoenix. You know what? I'm going to stick with my gut, which was Memphis. I'm going to go Memphis.
That's legit. That is legit.
Boston and Memphis.
That is legit.
And I think Boston does to Memphis what Golden State did to Boston last year, which was teach them what it's like to be in the finals.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. All right, we got him.
No.
He says he's here.
He says he's here.
In the chat. Or
No.
private.
It's not him. It's somebody else. All right. You know what? Fine. You guys have a couple minutes. There's some people here. You want to bring them on and see what they got to say? All right.
Why not?
Cool. All right. You were on first. Go ahead, Ed.
Sorry,
You're
guys.
live on Fluent and Chill.
Christopher D. Sorry about that.
You're good.
Yeah. What's going on?
What's up?
Chilling, guys. I was just talking to Fluent earlier, about the whole, how technically 2011 finals, that wasn't LeBron's worst finals, at least to me. Now, we were having trouble hearing you. Can you
turn your mic up?
I don't know if you have a mic or get closer to the.
Sorry, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
That's
a little
better.
bit.
Okay.
Okay, bet. So my hot take is technically that the LeBron's 2011 finals was not his worst NBA finals. For me, it's his 2014 NBA finals. I think that one was, for me personally, his worst NBA finals I've ever seen from him personally. Now, if we go off a numbers standpoint, yes, LeBron put up 28 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, like 55% shooting from the field, 40% from three. However, the difference between what he did in 2014 versus 2011 was, if you look at, even when LeBron lost against superior teams before in the past, he was at least trying to win. And that, for me, is a big thing if we're going to go into it. Now, even though the numbers are pedestrian for 2007 to 2011, LeBron was legitimately trying to win those NBA finals. Like you could just see it on the court's mentality. He may not have had all the skill sets there at that particular point, or he was placed into a particular role in 2011 that he just couldn't adjust to, but he was legitimately trying to win. If you look at anything after game one, which, yes, we all know about the AC and the cramps going into game one, but anything after that, like anytime like the Spurs would make like a huge run, LeBron never adjusted, or he never put himself in a better position. Like he wasn't scoring when it mattered the most. And that's kind of my thing is, I've seen LeBron in 2016 in the NBA Finals put up points when it mattered. He scored 11 of the 16 points in Game 7, which helped them win the title. That mattered. I've seen LeBron in 2013 Game 6 when the team is down 10. He's putting up shots that actually mattered, that actually won them that game. For the Ray Allen shot to even matter. I've seen LeBron put up like historical numbers to where his points actually mattered. But when they're getting blown off the floor in the record finals margin, the way they were, and LeBron is just stat padding, putting up those, even though his numbers look good, but let's be real, the game was so far.
All right, Tone, that's enough. I can't take no more. I can't take no more of this. This is ridiculous.
I just want to recap.
This is ridiculous right here. What I'm listening to.
Let me
This is
recap.
unbelievable what I'm listening to.
Let me just recap. Hold on. Let me recap. First of all, whoever has the tag name LeBron fan, you're banned. I don't know if you saw what he was trying to show on camera, but that's going to get us banned from YouTube. So you're out forever. That being said, I just want to recap what you said. So basically what you're saying is his stats looked good. He didn't really want to win. He wasn't good situationally. And when they needed him the most, he wasn't there.
Just say he quit. Just say that.
So
say he quit.
He quit on his team. And so his stats, although they look good, if you actually go back and watch the series, you'll see that it was empty stats.
It was empty calories.
Empty calories. All right, so Jay, as our resident LeBron goatologist, go ahead.
So did you watch that series?
Yes.
So in watching that series, what did you see from the San Antonio Spurs? Because I can tell you what I saw. I saw the most beautiful basketball that I've ever seen in all of my years of watching basketball. I have never seen a team move the basketball the way that they did. I have never seen a team defend the way that they did. I have never seen a team in unison the way that team was. We're talking about a San Antonio Spurs team that averaged for the series 40 points a game from their bench. That's what they were getting. 40 points a game. That's from their second unit. But what we're going to do here is we're going to sell the logic that James wasn't trying. If I got to go up against that, I'm not trying. We're talking about a San Antonio Spurs team that was moving the basketball like it was a hot potato. We're talking about a team
However, if we're being real, listen.
You gotta speak up, man. You gotta.
This is unbelievable.
Because
I'm listening to this.
Everybody turn their volume up really loud to hear you.
This is
and then
unbelievable.
when Jay went crazy, you killed us all, Jay. By the way, like my ears, you blew on my eardrums.
This is unbelievable.
You guys hear me now? Now, okay, so Chilltown, listen. I have much respect for you. Much love, my brother. I don't quite have LeBron as high as you do, but he's definitely up there as an all-time time great for me. However, when I look at 2011 compared to 2014, again, LeBron was put in a situation for his role in 2011 to essentially be a facilitator, to take the backseat to Dwayne Wade.
Correct.
Now, they lost that series in 2011, from what I saw, because of coaching. It wasn't because LeBron, in my opinion, had choked, or Dwayne Wade. They were in the wrong roles, and it unfortunately cost them the championship. And there are plenty of coaching schemes and coaches themselves that cost their teams an NBA title. Greg Popovich in 2013 with not having Tim Duncan in the game for the last 30 seconds, that cost them. I mean, just a whole bunch of other coaching themes and such, of like with the Hawks and the 76ers, like that was the better team, but let's be real, Doc Rivers got out-coached like a motherfucker. But when I see LeBron in 2011, that's a guy that was actually legitimately trying to play a role and was trying to actually win an actual championship. Now, if we bring in 2011, again, if you look at those third and fourth quarters, because that's when he's getting his numbers, is when he's putting up those points when they honestly don't matter. I've seen LeBron in multiple series put up points when it actually matter, do things that impact the game when it actually matters. And when I'm not seeing that from LeBron in that series, when he's complaining about when Kawhi checks in to the game,
he was not complaining. That was something completely different. Knock it off, man. That's a dumb narrative. No, he wasn't. I'm not complaining about a dude that I'm averaging almost 30 a game against. So knock that off. That just doesn't work. Not only does that not work. Is it fair? Is it fair to say that maybe the team that he went up against was just better? And it was obvious. Because if I'm watching James, would it make you happier if he went for 40? If
that were better than him, I've seen it. And
you've seen it. You've seen it one time in the finals. No. You saw it once. You didn't see it 6 or 7 times. You saw it one time in the finals. Every other time that they played in the finals and they won, they were better. To say that this San Antonio team, LeBron James, quote unquote, choked because they're going up against a unit. Did you know that the San Antonio Spurs got 17 assists from their bench in game 2? We're talking about a team. We're talking about a team that was in such unison that you're actually trying to sell me that LeBron James choked, averaging. I ain't even talking about what he averaged. I'm not even talking about that.
Not putting up those points when it actually matters.
And it's not that he didn't put up the points when it actually mattered. Take it a step further than that, my man. How about he went up against a unit and his unit was inferior to that unit, including himself?
So
is that fair?
So I gotta do this, man, and I'm sorry to do this to you just because we can't hear you. We're struggling really hard. I'm getting messages that we can't hear you. So I want you to come back next week. Next week's show will be LeBron choked in 2014. So I'm gonna bring you back on with a better mic. Okay.
Please.
Do you have any final kind of? I appreciate you. That's why I'm not trying not to be rude. It's just we can't hear you.
No, of course.
Yeah. So just hit me up next week. We'll get you back on when we can hear you a little bit better. I'm going to let a couple other people in real quick. Everybody, you have 30 seconds to make your point because we got to go. But I'm going to bring you on for 30 seconds because a bunch of people have been waiting patiently. I'm going to bring you on, make your point, and then I'm going to kick you out. So I'm not being rude. It's just 30 seconds. So I appreciate you, brother. Next week, we'll bring you on again.
Okay, bet. Chilltown, much respect. I love you, my brother, but listen.
You just disagree on one point. Oh, good.
Yeah, but but listen, I'm gonna come in with some heat next week, so I want you to be ready.
All right, come with the heat and a better microphone. Okay. I want to hear your point. I want to believe what you're saying, but I got to hear you.
Bet.
All right, bro.
All
right. So I'm gonna bring in
the chat. I can't, dude. Like, it's so funny. But yeah, we'll have to dig into that one. Yeah. Yeah.
Do not, Hailey. Don't. I'm gonna kick him out, but do not look at Get Fluent. Someone is just very obsessed with their very small ding-a-ling. All right, here we go. Boom, and you're out. So Tyson, we're bringing on Tyson, bringing on Young Blood. We're gonna flood the stream real quick, guys. You guys have 30 seconds. I'm gonna just call out whatever your handle is. Give me your 30 seconds, and then you're out. So let's go. We'll just start from the top. Kareem.
Mathematical. I don't bring notes. Just so you guys know, I don't bring notes. Like it's all up here, my man. So it's not had nothing to do with notes. Chill out.
Kareem, what you got?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. So my point is, I'm gonna strictly talk about LeBron James and his performance in 2014 compared to 2011. In 2014, he led in the game scoring-wise 3 times out of 4. He put up great numbers in that series. Plus, he was facing a team, San Antonio Spurs, who were an excellent team. In 2011, he didn't lead the game like 0 times in 2011. Dwayne Wade was balling. He was playing really good in 2011. In my opinion, if LeBron James played in 2011 like he played in 2014,
they win the series.
They win the series. So 2014 was not a choke job in my opinion. 2011 was. I understand that Dwayne Wade and LeBron James were still trying to figure out who's going to be the number 1 guy. But still, LeBron James didn't show that aggressiveness that he showed in 2014. Hence why LeBron James won the chip. Hence why 2014 was a better year for LeBron James in the finals.
All right. Appreciate you, Kareem. Money Jones, what you got?
Hey, y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't really argue my Kobe point in 30 seconds. So
you got to do elevator pitch.
Yeah. I'm not even gonna get into it. But Chill, you my man. But the only thing is,
obviously I'm not.
Man.
No, I'm not.
But
no, I'm not.
I love it. It's you, my man. But
no, I'm not.
Yeah.
But it's just the Kobe thing. But other than that, I need 3 teams tomorrow. I think is gonna win. I need to get more fluent.
What was the? I missed. I got
3 teams that are going to win. What?
I said I need 3 teams tomorrow is going to win. It's a lot of games. Lakers, Sixers, Knicks, Hornets.
You talking about? Okay.
Tomorrow.
I need
on the docket tomorrow.
Let's pull
you
up
guys
the matchups.
Yeah, you guys. Dinner's on you tomorrow. FanDuel.
Okay.
All right, here we go. We got. All right, here you got Raptors and Magic. You got Raptors. Sure thing.
Take that.
Can I
Lakers
trust your Raptors, bro?
That's not a for sure. Don't go with that one. Don't go.
Yes,
I was thinking about it. I don't know.
No, are you kidding? Have you seen Orlando? Come on.
Have you seen the Raptors?
Yeah, they're inconsistent as
Haley, how many times do I message you halfway through a game and you're like, yeah, you were right, Fluent?
All right. Okay. Fair enough.
Admit it. Thank you.
Went crazy last night.
All right, Lakers and Sixers, bro. Knicks and Hornets.
Whoa, wait. Go back.
He a Laker homer, so don't say he a Laker homer. So
what was the first one? I didn't hear it.
He said Toronto. He said Toronto over Orlando.
No. The second one.
He said the Lakers. He said the Lakers and Philly. He said Philly.
I said Philly.
He said Philly.
Yeah. If James and Anthony Davis, if they play tomorrow, I think that's a different game.
You know what I'm talking about. I
If
think
they're
they might
still
come
out.
back.
If they're still out. I'm gonna let me go. Knicks and Hornets. I'm not touching that one. Wizards, Pacers.
I'm taking the Pacers.
Taking the Pacers.
All right, there you go. You got 3 on the Pacers.
There you go.
Hawks and Nets. I'm not touching that one.
I'm neither.
Neither.
Kings and Cavs.
Ooh,
That's a good game.
I wouldn't.
Kings and Cavs. I'm taking Cleveland. As good as Sacramento's been playing, I'm taking Cleveland in that. Cleveland is rolling right now.
In Cleveland too. I like that one too.
I'm taking that one.
All
right.
I like the way that sounds.
And then the last one. Here's your last one. Pistons and Grizzlies. Take the Grizz, and I like my steak medium rare.
All right, brother.
Got you.
All right, bro.
Chill, you the man. Other than the Kobe, you the man. Chill.
Yeah.
Now you're more fluent.
Thanks, brother.
We-
Thanks, brother.
All right, who's next? We got Black Uru.
Yeah, thanks for having me up. I wanted to make an argument that Larry Bird is the greatest small forward of all time. I saw Larry Bird's whole career. He averaged 24 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists a game.
Mm-hmm.
At his peak, Larry Bird was the greatest. And I grew up, I'm 61 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up a Dr. J fan.
Yep.
So I hated Larry Bird.
Right.
I loathe Larry Bird.
Mm-hmm.
And he, to this day, is the best small forward I ever saw.
Mm.
In the almost 50 years of watching professional basketball.
Yep.
At his peak, Larry Bird was the best small forward I ever saw.
Mm-hmm. He wasn't better than James, though, but he's number 2 all time.
I will say this. If we're just saying numbers, if we're just going by numbers, which I know that's not what we do, but just let me put it out there because someone sent this to me. It's funny that you brought this up. In their prime, so 83 to 88 for Bird, 2010 to 2015 for James. I know that's a small sample size of a 20-year, but that's when people say he was at his best. Bird, 27.3, 6.8 assists, 9.8 rebounds, 1.8 steals, 0.9 blocks, 3.1 turnovers, 51% from the field, 40% from 3, 89.9 free throw, 26.1 PER. James,
I don't see how you could say that LeBron James was better than Larry Bird at his peak.
The only 3 things that James did better than Bird statistically was 6.9, so 0.1 more assists, 53.2 from the field, which we know a lot of that was 0 to 3 feet, and a 29% PER. Those are the only 3 things statistically.
Right.
I find it hard
to save my life. If I have a game to play, I'm picking Larry Bird over LeBron James.
Wow. Yeah.
At their peak.
No.
Their peak.
And Bird was awesome. I grew up watching Bird too. I did. Yeah, I grew up watching Bird too, but he wasn't better than James.
And he spent half of his career with a broken back.
That's actually listen. I grew up hating Bird.
So I do, and again, I hated Bird. I grew up a Dr. J fan. I hated Larry Bird. I hated the Celtics. I was a 76ers fan, and he was the best I ever saw at that position. Bottom line.
Hey, you're not going to get an argument from me. Chill will give you an argument. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely, brother.
Thanks for having me, guys. I really enjoyed your show. Thank you.
Appreciate you. We got Tyson.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was the one in the super chats earlier, and I just wanted to add on to that. You asked me what was the so what. My only so what was to add context to the Jordan GOAT debate. I don't think this era is better than any era in the game. I respect all the eras. My only point was to say that Jordan went up against lesser, smaller guards, and he can hand check them at that. So it's a little easier to win Defensive Player of the Year. And you got Pippen on your team as well, who's obviously a great defensive player.
Defensive Player of the Year was in '88 with all the great wings you said.
At the end of their run, at the end of Bird's run, at the end of Adrian Dantley and those guys.
But he didn't really have Pippen either. Pippen was a shell of who he would become at that point.
No. I'm sorry.
I said, and he didn't have Pippen at that point. He was
no. I'm not saying that. I'm saying look at the wings. Look at the wings from those areas. Reggie Miller, who was great, was unathletic. Mitch Richmond, really?
No,
that's your top. That's your top. Your top wing of the era.
You mean Rich Richmond, the guy who Jordan said was the toughest guy he had to guard? He
that's fine. I'm saying
I'm not done.
Okay. Put that in perspective, though. Put that in perspective.
For 7 straight years. Add that to the fact that rewind the clock back to the 80s when Jordan went up against Sidney Moncrief, Defensive Player of the Year. He went up
Right.
against Michael Cooper, Defensive
Right.
Player of the Year. He went up against Alvin Robinson, Defensive Player of the Year.
I got-
he went up against Joe Dumas,
I got that.
First Team All-League, and he was
I'm not
torching
saying
these
Jordan was.
dudes.
I
He was
got that.
torching
I'm
these
not.
dudes. That's
I'm
the
not
point.
saying Jordan wasn't great. I'm not saying Jordan
That's
wasn't
what you're
great.
saying. That's exactly
No,
what
I'm
you're
not saying that. I said at the all-time great debate. I'm talking number one, the GOAT debate. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying Jordan wasn't that dude. I'm saying number one overall as the greatest ever. I'm saying in his era when you won championships, there was a lack of wing players that he had to face on a daily basis. Instead, when you talk about Kareem,
So
had to
I
go
said
against
to you-
top centers.
So
When
I
you talk
said to
about
you- I
LeBron,
said to you,
had to
hold
go
on, I said
against
to you,
top wingmen.
so I won't even argue. I'll say, okay, there wasn't great wing players.
Right.
So what? Wasn't there not great point guards? Was there not great power forwards? Was there not great centers?
That's not my point. That's
Did he
not
go up against the whole team, or did he
that's
play one-on-one
that's not my
against the
point.
wing?
That's not Jordan's matchup though.
Oh, so
It's
now
not?
we're doing that. Now we're doing that.
No,
So-
I'm not
so-
saying
so-
that.
So
And-
that's exactly what you're saying.
But you
One minute
no-
you're telling me it's the matchup, and then the next
Okay.
minute. So which one is it, my man? Is it the
No,
matchup? or is it
all I'm saying, when you go up against the finals and you're looking over at Jeff Hornacek, you know you're gonna eat tonight.
Okay.
That's
But
all
what-
I'm saying.
so-
When
so
you're
with
going
that-
up against Gary Payton, who's a great
Right.
defender, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but he's undersized and he's not as athletic
so
as
he's
me.
Undersized. He's the same
You
size as
sound-
Jordan.
you
Jordan
sound-
6'6".
you sound
Gary
like a
Payton was
guy-
6'4".
You sound like a
6'4"
guy-
and 6'6" is the same size when you're
That's the
shooting a
same-
fadeaway
we
jumper.
We this big.
And
So
he's
if he's
unathletic.
6'6",
It's-
come on, man,
was
give
he
me a break.
ath- could Gary
He's
Payton
Defensive
even
Player of
dunk?
the Year. So
Come on.
explain Clyde Drexler then. Explain
Cl-
Drex.
Okay, no, that's one. I give you that. I give you Drexler.
and Gary Payton.
Gary
Not not just Gary Payton. So Jordan went up against 4, count them, in his career, at the guard spot. He went up against 4 guys who were the Defensive Player of the Year, and he was torching these dudes.
Come on. Are you really saying
4
Gary
of
Payton?
them.
Hold on. Are you really saying Gary Payton has the athleticism to keep up with T-Max and Vince Carter's and LeBron James, these great wings?
Let me make
So
sure.
what you're saying is so a guy who says so what you're doing right now is you're giving credibility to a guy that says LeBron got torched by JJ Barea and Jason Kidd guarding him.
No, that was a team effort. Come on. They're
guys
packing the
guarded him.
paint. James
Those
is not a
guys
great
guarded
jump
him.
shooter. We know that.
Those
And then
guys
you pack the
guarded him.
paint.
What you're trying to do is take one matchup and say he won that.
No,
series.
you're talking. You're saying something completely different. You're
No,
saying something completely. That was a
you
team
are.
effort on defense, and James is not a great jump
So the
shooter.
other teams didn't have team defense.
The Chicago Bulls went up against the best teams.
You
in the
couldn't
game.
play
It was
team
in the
defense back then. It was illegal
Absolutely.
defensive
Play team
rules.
defense. Yes,
Come
you
on.
did.
best teams in the league when they played in the NBA Finals. The best teams. That's what
Oh, they
went-
played against the best teams in the league. I'm not
That's
not
what they
debating
did.
that, but their team was way
And-
better.
right. And Jordan
Right.
was the
And
best-
partly
and
because of
Jordan was
Marcus
the best-
Jordan. Don't get me
Right.
wrong.
And
I'm
Jordan
just
was the
saying
best player.
when you go
So
up
how
against,
many guys?
I'm
so
just saying take
in
those
this
things
era-
into consideration
Okay,
when
so-
you're talking about your GOAT debate. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, and that's fair. So in this
Yeah.
era, so guys like let's say Steph Curry in the 4 NBA Finals that he had to deal with in
Sure.
the 4 NBA Finals. So he had to go up the first time in 2014, 2015. He went up against Matt Dellavedova. That's who
Sure.
he went up against. All right.
Sure.
So in 2015-16, who did he go up against? In the 16, he went up against Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie
That's who he
Irving.
went up against. And
Right.
in 17-18, in the NBA Finals, he went up against George Hill.
Yes.
That's who he was going up against.
George Hill, solid.
Right. That's who he was going up against. So
Yeah.
this is the guy he was going up against at his matchup. Right. So same logic with James. So who was James going up against in the NBA Finals? So in 2007, James went up against Bruce Bowen.
A great defender.
Okay, Bruce Bowen. Okay,
Yeah.
so if we're gonna use that, he's a great defender. So was Gary Payton. We can't
No
leave that out
way.
with Jordan.
Okay.
I'm out. Okay, I'm
Okay.
good. It can't
Okay.
be both ways. I'm good, Joe. You can't have it both ways.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
I'm
You
straight.
talk about Bruce Bowen and those guys. You talk about that matchup, but Bruce Bowen was a great defender and athletic, and a tough
Gary Payton is
defender,
considered-
and had
there's an
size.
argument that Gary Payton is a top 10 defender all time.
Oh, he is
He
against
might be
against
the
point
best.
guards.
He might be.
Sure against
He might be the best. You can make an argument. He might be the best defensive guard in NBA history. You can make that argument.
Okay, I'm not going to dispute that.
And that's
I'm not.
and this is who Jordan was going up against in the NBA Finals.
And what happened? And what happened in that finals when he switched on to him?
What happened in that NBA Finals? Like Jordan said, I was somewhere else.
Okay,
That's where he was.
okay.
But even still, I'm not gonna let him off the hook. Michael Jordan outplayed Gary Payton as an elite defender. Not only did he
of course he's going to outplay because Gary Payton's not going to offer anything offensively that Michael Jordan offers. All I'm saying,
He averaged 20 a game.
You saying Gary Payton was as good as offensive player as Michael Jordan?
That, but I'd like to think
that's all I'm saying.
I'd like to think that 20 a game matters though. Just same logic with Joe Dumars. I mean, these are the kind of guards that Jordan is going up against. I mean, Joe Dumars, a first-team All-League defender. Gary Payton, the defensive player. Joe Dumars. These are the guys that he got to deal with.
Those players are good against other smaller, unathletic guards. Joe Dumars can't guard LeBron James or Tracy McGrady or Kobe Bryant for that matter. Kobe Bryant will kill Joe Dumars.
Who can guard? Tell me who can. So if Joe Dumars can't guard,
but he doesn't have a chance.
Let me make sure I'm understanding this.
He doesn't have a chance.
So if Kobe Bryant, if Joe Dumars can't guard Kobe Bryant, but Tony Allen can, and Joe Dumars is a better defender than Tony Allen. I'm going.
Joe Dumars is not equipped to guard. Tony Allen is way better equipped to guard wing 6'7", 6'8" wings than Joe Dumars. Come on.
So I want to be clear. Though. So you're saying Jordan, because I can make this for anybody, but so Jordan was bigger and whatever than these other guards that couldn't guard, right? Okay.
And can hand check them.
Cool. Right. And
imagine LeBron can hand check Craig Elo. So imagine if LeBron James could check.
By that logic, come on. By that logic, then LeBron, we can't give him any respect because he's bigger and stronger than all of his defenders too. So they can't guard him because they're all shorter and weaker. Is that
right? That's sure. I understand what you're saying, and that's a fair point, a fair counterpoint.
No, I don't think it's a good point, but I'm saying that with your logic, it is.
I don't either.
I don't
think it is neither.
No, I'm saying that makes him great. I'm sure. I understand what you're saying.
It sounds to me like your logic is we got to take into consideration when we're talking about Jordan as the GOAT, who he had to go up against. And the thing that I'm thinking about is,
and you guys,
he had to go up against the best teams in the NBA. When we talking about the NBA Finals, he had to go up against the best teams in the NBA.
Right. And you only talking about the matchups LeBron had to go up against. You talk about Paul George. Talk about in his conference who he had to go against as well. Jordan didn't have to go through it. Name those great to get to the finals. Name those great 2s and 3s that he went up in the throughout the conference.
Wow. So let's see. Let's start in the 1990s. Let's say so he had to deal with Dominique Wilkins. Then he had to deal with
Dominique Wilkins had a bad team. Okay, keep going. And Dominique Wilkins cooked. He had to deal.
You can use that for any logic. LeBron.
Who is so any of these great teams? Any of these great players who is not cooking? Can you explain that to us?
Who is not cooking?
Who is not cooking of these great players?
What great players?
You just said it. I'm going off your logic that these great players. You said Dominique.
No, I'm saying. Let's talk about. You named Dominique Wilkins. Keep going. Right? Go ahead. Keep going.
Dominique Wilkins. He had to deal with Ron Harper, right? So
he Harper.
Yeah, he had to deal with Ron Harper. He had to deal with Clyde Drexler.
That's what you go to when we talk about great players. Ron Harper.
He had to.
He was a good defender.
Well, he's a solid defender. I'm talking about defense and offense. I'm talking about
the stance that he's on is that his matchups weren't the same, which doesn't work because if you're gonna bring that logic in,
Paul George's, the Vince Carter's, the Grant, you know what I'm saying?
Good defender,
huh?
Vince Carter. This is
I'm
talking about your. Hold on.
Because he's talking about from today.
Y'all know basketball.
This is just bucket for bucket. This ain't a guy that's going to slow a guy down. This is just bucket for bucket. That's what this is. And I can't get into that logic. I just can't.
No. So when you're playing, when you have a tough matchup, that doesn't take away from you. You guys know basketball. When you have a tough matchup, does that take away from your offense? I mean, when you got to focus defensively on a guy? Y'all know basketball.
But some of your toughest matchups are unexpected players. They're not necessarily named players like Shaq. Let me ask. When you ask Shaq, what was one of his toughest matchups?
Who you got? Greg Ostertag? Who you got?
He said, big country Bryant Reeves.
Okay, I was thinking something like that. Yeah, Greg Ostertag. Yeah.
No one would ever say he was a good defender, but the way that he bodied me up, the way that
he can match him physically.
So if we were having a debate, everyone would laugh and say, Bryant Reeves, you're nuts. But here the man himself said it. So
sure. I got you defensively, sure. He was a big body. I got you. That makes sense. I'm not debating that. All I'm saying is when you step into
one-on-one. You're trying to bring a one-on-one matchup.
That's exactly what this is. That's all it is.
Jordan didn't have elite. Hold on. You're saying Jordan didn't have elite competition at the wing. But he did have great teams that he had to face, and it is still a team game. So at the end of the day, they were playing 5-on-5, and maybe the name across the street there wasn't as big as you'd want it to be, but those teams were there for a reason. Those teams won 50 games, 60 games for a reason.
That's also why I made the point that a dominant wing, to me, as I watched the game and the game evolve, the dominant wing is the most important player. When you talk about your Larry Birds, when you talk about your Magic Johnson, who you guys said isn't a wing, but he's 6'9", and he defended all positions like you said. He's pretty much a wing. He's just a point forward pretty much, right?
The dominant wing was not the most important player. That's not true.
It's not?
No, that's not true.
Okay, when you talk about your D Wade's winning championships, when you talk about your Kobe Bryant's, when you talk about your Luka Doncic's, the effect he has on the game as far as points, rebounds, assists, steals, a small guard can't do that, and a center can't do what a small forward an athletic small forward can do all things pretty much on the floor. If he's elite, a center can't do that, and a point guard can't do that. It's a few exceptions to the rule, but overall, no. So I'm saying that's why it's the most important position. When you have a great dominant wing, you have a centerpiece for your team that, you can build around. As a center, it's a little more limited. You need a great point guard. You don't need a great point guard when you have a dominant wing. You don't need a great center when you have a dominant wing.
I'm just curious, when you go through, I don't know, I'll use one that I know, the 2012 Heat run to.
Who was that?
The 2012
to the final.
2012 Heat run to the finals. Right?
Do you say that LeBron had an easy time because he played the other small forwards were like Mike Dunleavy, Jimmy Butler in his second year? I know you said Paul George. Okay, and who did he face? And then Bruce Bowen. Do you say those matchups it was easy for him?
People argue that the East was a weaker conference, weaker teams. Sure.
So I'm not in logic then.
You can use that logic if you want to, but
no, I'm using your logic. That's not my logic. That's your logic. You said Jordan didn't have these elite wing guys to go against. Well, there's LeBron's run. Mike Dunleavy, a second-year Butler, Paul George, and Bruce Bowen.
I got to hear the rest of that lineup on that. I don't know if Mike Dunleavy was necessarily his matchup.
What I don't understand is that when you go up against the best player, arguably at your position, and you outplay that guy, why do I have to continuously do that? Because it's not like Jabbar. Every year he saw somebody different in the NBA Finals. He basically saw the same guy every year. He basically saw Robert Parrish or Moses Malone. That's it. It wasn't like he was seeing 6 or 7 different guys, and he still dominated. So Jordan, who saw Drex in the finals, who was regarded as the second best 2-guard in the game, and Jay clearly outplayed him. He played against Dan Marley, who was an.
That's why Clyde Drexler was not in the top 20.
He's not in the top 20, not because Jordan dominated him or Jordan outplayed him.
Because he's not that guy.
He's not in the right. There's 20 other guys better than him. But with your logic, you're talking about a guy at that position. So it seems
I'm saying wings. I'm saying wings. I'm not just talking about necessarily a shooting guard. I'm talking wings. Period. It don't have to be a small forward. It don't have to be. I'm talking a wing. It was a lull in the era for wing players. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not saying shooting guards. Right. I'm saying wings. Right. Dr. J is not a shooting guard. He's a small forward, right?
Yes, he is. That's correct.
So I'm just saying I'm saying how those players dominate the game, and in that area there were none. I'm not saying there were none, but there was a lull in that era. That's all I'm saying. Is that fair? Is that not fair?
Are we good?
Oh, we good. Hey, I appreciate the time, fellas. Hey, I let it show. Much respect. Happy holidays. You guys take care, man.
Thanks for jumping on. I want to apologize. We had a glitch.
Goofball. We had a goofball out here.
We had a glitch in the Matrix.
Yes, we did.
I tried to block and ban. Unfortunately, he kept changing his name, and I thought he was one of you in the chat. So my apologies. I don't know. Mostly to you, Hailey, to be honest.
Hey, I'm good. I just hope we don't get hurt. We don't get ripped off the panel for this.
So yes, apologies to everybody involved.
Just so you know, that dude, if I ever see you, I'm gonna crack your nose.
Yeah, he was definitely a kid. Like that was He's being.
I have no
I
idea.
apologize, folks.
I have no idea.
Sorry to you guys.
We just we got bamboozled. And we apologize. That won't happen again.
I got hoodwinked.
Yeah, that won't happen again. So,
but hey, that just proves my point that there is something wrong with today's generation.
Yes, it is. Yeah, because we got goofballs like that. Yeah, we got goofballs like that nobody cares about.
But you know what? 284 people, 286 people watching live, one goofball. So hey, to the other 287, get those likes up. Thank you for joining us. I got nothing else because I don't know how do you follow up?
You don't. That's a mic drop right there.
I don't even know. I don't understand people. Sorry. Go ahead. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Usually we can see them, but yeah, whatever.
Next time you know what? He got smart because in the waiting area, I saw and I banned him and booted him. He'd go, I change his name, come back on to someone else. And the last time he left it as his camera off and waited till I let him in and then turned his camera on. So for future reference, Youngblood, I know you're in here. We're ending the show. So Youngblood, I apologize. You're not going to get your 30 seconds of fame. Come back on next week. But for anybody else that wants to come on, because of this, cameras on or you will not be allowed.
Period.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm sorry. It's not.
See, this is another thing of this generation. Like, you just start something good, and somebody always has to ruin it. So
always
blame this dude. Like
always.
Whatever. But on a good note, we might have a game. Rams are now 10. And Raiders are 16. Yes, so Raiders have possession, but who knows what will happen. So I want to go finish that game. Y'all in the chat probably do as well. But yeah, get those likes up and come with questions next week. I do like that. I mean, we have to keep it shorter, I think. For some of them, we'll keep it to like a minute max to prove your point.
Yeah, I'll set a timer. I'll set a timer, and I'm not rude when I boot you out. That's not why.
Yeah. It's all love.
Recap Rico's going to join us next week, so yes, we appreciate you. Come bring it.
Dope. But y'all have a good night. And yeah, come prepared with questions next week. And
until then, take it light, but take it.
Now you're more fluent.
Now you are.
There you go.
What are you drinking?